What's up, ladies and gentlemen, Akalon here, and of course, welcome back to each and every one of you. Today, we'll be dealing some spoilers, although on the spoiler scale, I would put these at like a 2, maybe even a 1 out of 10. They're not deep spoilers. Most of these things we had known for quite some time, even before Dragonflight Alpha went live. There was every reason to believe that Ysera would come back. There's a bit more information now about the return of Ysera. I'll be covering that. And then also the time skip and how the time traveling in the Dragon Isles or the Dragonflight is going to work. I'm going to use this as the potential or as the springboard to get into speculation, because that's what I do here. I like speculating. You guys like speculating. So if by the end of this video you liked speculating with me, hit the like button. If not, you hit the dislike button, and that tells me I have to do better. And if you've already hit the like button, hey, I fucking love you. Thank you so much for that. Remember, you can be cool by simply becoming a Twitch sub, a patron, or a YouTube channel member, or just hitting the like button. It is that easy, and it's free. So without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Alright, now, I'm not going to do a full recap on the return of Ysera. I've already done a video about that. It should be linked in the top right-hand corner. Don't watch it now. Finish this one, and then go watch that one. Quick brief overview. We know that Ysera is returning. We knew this since Shadowlands, with the Tear of Elune, the newly created Tear of Elune, being handed to Tyrande. Tyrande is told by Ysera to take this tear to Mythandra. I believe her name is Mythandra, the daughter of Ysera. And Ysera says that Mythandra will know what to do with this tear. We're also warned, of course, that there will be a great sacrifice that has to be paid. We speculated about what will happen. We speculated about the consequences and the sacrifice that will have to be incurred. So I'm not going to go over that again. Again, you can just watch the video in the top right-hand corner. But we now have even more confirmation. And I think this time, this is sort of cast in stone now. We're going to get an active. This is a spell that we get. It's literally at this point called activating. It is a 3-second cast time or a channel, and it activates the Globe of Rebirth to prepare the way for Ysera. So now we know that Ysera is returning. More specifically, we know that Ysera will most likely return as the aspect of the green Dragonflight. So any hope that anyone had for maybe a new aspect, maybe Mythandra to step into that role, that should be crushed now. I don't see Ysera returning only to sort of give up the throne. Unless, of course, there's some sort of combined thing where all of the dragon aspects step aside for one of their younger brood in a sort of let's let the youth take over kind of thing. Might be a bad idea, but that could happen, right? There is always the potential for that. Now, this is where we get into slight timey-wimey stuff, and I'll also use this to give you a little bit of spoilers around the time skips and how this is going to happen in the Dragonflight. In the first dungeon that we got to test in the Dragonflight Alpha, we were chasing a disc. We were looking for an object, really. They didn't call it a disc, but we're looking for an object. Most likely, this would be a Titan disc. Why? Because we dealt with Titan discs before. It would be fine if Blizzard used more Titan discs, because we know there are many of them, and mostly they contain blueprints. They contain information that we can use to learn. Now, this disc that we're chasing, this is to... Apparently, it holds the power to restore the dragon aspects. Now, of course, we meet an infinite dragon that's like, no, actually... Murozond is the one true aspect, death to all the other aspects, in a very dramatic sense, you know. He's like, no, we don't want any of the other aspects, death to all of them, Murozond forever, you know, hashtag believe. But, you know, that aside, he ends up destroying the disc. Now, obviously, that's probably not the only disc, and this is where we get into the time travel stuff. I don't know if you guys have seen, but there's like a crap ton of evidence of us time traveling throughout the ages in the Dragonflight expansion, and we've already been told that these time travel scenarios, like a lot of maps, Silithus, for example, we have a map in Mist of Pandaria or in Pandaria that's been revealed. We have maps all over Azeroth that's been revealed, some of them dating back to the Black Empire days. So there's a lot of scenarios where we'll be time traveling with the Bronze Dragonflight, and I believe I know why we're going to be doing this. It is speculation, so, you know, don't take my word for this, but I believe we're hunting this disc. I believe that when the Infinite Dragonflight destroyed this disc, they destroyed the lost information on how to restore the aspects. And the Bronze Dragonflight is effectively now taking us back to moments in history where this disc would have been present. So moments in history where the information may have been present, either in the form of the disc or maybe in the form of the one who created the disc. I don't know. I genuinely have no idea. But ultimately, I believe this is what we're hunting for. Now, that power is something that we should absolutely talk about. And should we actually restore the Dragonflight? But before we do that, let me give you the slight spoilers here. And this has to do with the time skip. Time is going to be very important in this expansion. It is the Dragonflight expansion. It is the Bronze Dragonflight as part of this expansion. Wherever the Bronze Dragonflight is present, there's almost guaranteed going to be a lot of timey-wimey stuff. Now, remember when we covered the Alliance and their version of the time skip? I may have that linked in the top right-hand corner if I can remember what video that was. But we made a video covering the Alliance side of the time skip, and then Blizzard changed it. Blizzard actually removed the Alliance version of the time skip. Well, as it turns out, there is also a Horde version of the time skip. And also, I guess a little bit of spoiler here for anyone that wanted to know, Lor'themar found love, and I mean marriage. Lor'themar and First Arcanist Ysera, yeah, they got married. So a little bit of good news in World of Warcraft. And they can't seem to agree on who asked who to get married, but they did get married, so that's a good thing. But okay, so in this, Lor'themar says the following: several years have passed quietly since our forces returned from the Shadowlands, but it seems that quiet is now at an end, my love. Several years now. I want to lay things out here for people. This is not the time skip that we were talking about, that we were theorizing about during the Shadowlands. The time skip that we were originally theorizing about was a time skip whilst we were inside the Dragonflight, inside the Shadowlands. So our time in the Shadowlands would have felt to us like 2 years, but maybe on Azeroth it would have been 4 or 5 years. And this was thanks to a lot of misspeak and doublespeak by Blizzard. Ian Azagostas and Denuzer not entirely getting their story straight on how time is supposed to work within the Shadowlands. Now, it turns out Blizzard actually threw that entire thing out and said, no, the time skip will happen right after the Shadowlands. So we return from the Shadowlands, but we do not rejoin the action of the Shadowlands until a later date. So several years have passed at this point, which is kind of interesting. What happened during those years? What were we as characters doing during these years? Did we enter a state of peace that we think, well, you know, it's peacetime now, everything's good and dandy? I don't know. I genuinely don't know how this is going to happen. Maybe all of this is actually part of a sort of time travel, right? Scenario where the Horde goes time traveling and they see Lor'themar Theron doing this whole thing, and the Alliance goes time traveling and they see, you know, Doralian and Master Shaw go through their whole speech. I don't know, because currently it isn't tied to a time traveling scenario. Currently, it is just part of the campaign, and you see this happening. I think it can create a lot of unnecessary problems within the story. World of Warcraft is a story where the character is always present. The character is as much a part of the story as the story is a part of the character. And it's going to be weird to rejoin World of Warcraft and not entirely be sure, you know, well, what happened? Where was I? Why wasn't I there? This has never happened in the past. Like, it's never happened in World of Warcraft that we've had a large, measurable amount of time pass in between expansions. Expansions, for the most part, have always been chronological and following one another very closely. So, kind of interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, but I wanted to throw that in there just in case, just for anyone that might be interested. But let's talk about the dragon aspect specifically, and I want to sort of use this opportunity to speculate a bit on what the dragon aspect may be looking for and what this could ultimately mean for us. Now, in my original video, I made the claim that I don't trust the Dragonflight, and this must be becoming a kind of a recurring theme on this channel. I do not trust anything that isn't mortal on Azeroth. I trust the Alliance more than I trust any godlike creature or any creature that isn't of mortal origins. And I'll explain it this way because I feel like a lot of people completely misunderstand what I mean when I say this. When I say something like the light is evil, I'm not saying that the light is evil in the way that you or I think about evil. I mean that from our perspective, the light is evil. The light isn't evil. From an objective perspective, all the light really wants is what the light wants. The light is incredibly one-track minded. It believes in one truth and follows only this one truth. And for anyone that wants any evidence of how the light deals with dissidents and how the light deals with people that do not agree with their opinion, just look at the Ysera Illidan cinematic. Ysera believed in the prophecy that Illidan will become the Child of Light. Child of Light and Shadow, to be more specific. Remember, the Child of Light and Shadow would bring an end to the demon invasions. Ysera so absolutely believed in this prophecy that she was willing to force Illidan to accept the light, even though Illidan didn't want to, even though Illidan resisted. For Ysera, the idea that you could resist your destiny, that you could resist the truth of the light, is unfathomable because of their adherence to the one truth. And this is true for all of the cosmic forces. They have their own agendas and they have their own goals. And if it happens that our goals and their goals align, they will be allies with us. But if it so happens that their goals and our goals no longer align, if they start to become at odds with one another, we will become cannon fodder and also casualties in their wars. Because at the end of the day, what the cosmology or the cosmic forces want is domination over the other cosmic forces. They don't really care about us as mortals. So that's important to note. The dragon aspect is they are creatures of the Titans. They are creatures of order. Their power was installed into them by the Titans. The Titans are, as far as I'm concerned, the least trustworthy in the whole cosmos. They lie continuously. Amonthul is a bit of a bastard. Amonthul's son, Odin, is a true bastard. So, to believe that the Titans have our best interests at heart, I think it's a little bit wishful thinking. Instead, I actually believe that if you look at Deathwing's experiments and you look at the Drakthir and what the Drakthir was supposed to be, I believe the Drakthir was a weapon that Deathwing wanted to use against his brothers. If you look at the Dragon Soul that Deathwing created, it was to steal the power of his brothers. It was to defeat his brothers and his sisters. Deathwing has had a problem with his brothers and sisters for a while. And I can't help but wonder if all of that was because of the old gods, or maybe some of that was because of Azeroth herself. I don't believe that Azeroth is a Titan. I don't believe that Azeroth wants what the Titans want. In fact, my theory about what Azeroth is actually far more convoluted. You guys remember the whole, there were two powers in the beginning, and then one of these powers became 3, then became 4, then became 6, and ultimately became 7, but the 7th is a fractal of the 6, or maybe the 6 is the whole of the 7. You guys remember that. And then you have the 1 that is outside of this cycle. Now, in my mind, Elune is the 7th, the fractal of the 6. So Elune is a coalescence of all of the power, which is why we see the Titans working with Elune, but also why the Winter Queen refers to Elune as sister. Because for Elune, these are all her brothers and sisters. She was created as an amalgamation of all of their power. This is chaos, death, void, order, life, and light. Elune is the culmination of all of this power. Azeroth, on the other hand, is a titan of the other. This is why Azeroth operates completely different to any other titans in the Great Beyond. This is why our souls are, for some reason, and they can't even explain it, the fate scribes in Oribos can't even explain why this happens, but our souls are tied to Azeroth in some weird way that they've never seen before. This is why the Shadowlands can't claim us, because Azeroth keeps us close to her as her weapon. This is why every force in the Great Beyond wants to kill Azeroth, because she's not part of this world. Perhaps her job is to subjugate it, perhaps her job is to destroy it, perhaps her job is to bring it into balance. We wouldn't know until she is born, but thanks to the engines of the Titans, she cannot be born. Now maybe, just maybe, this is one of the things that Deathwing saw, because he was first tied to her. Now, I don't know if it's a good idea to re-establish the Titans, the aspects. I don't think it is. I think there is many things that could go wrong. One of the things I am very worried about is corruption. The Dragonflight shrines, their places of power, have lain dormant for a very long time. During this time, all god threats may absolutely have infiltrated these places of power. The re-establishment of the aspects will most likely have something to do with these shrines, and I do not know if this would be a good idea. I don't think it will be, but I would like to hear your thoughts on it. Do you think this could be cool and good, and are you actually looking forward to seeing the aspects reclaim their power? Or are you, like me, quite skeptical of what this could actually mean? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, remember the deal. If you thought that I was correct and you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If not, you hit the dislike button, and we never speak of this again. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are already a patron, a YouTube member, or a Twitch sub, thank you so much. If you want to become one, just hit the links in the description down below. As always, be kind to each other, be good to each other. I love you guys. Peace out.